People are wondering that after the case no submit of Nnamdi Kanu, Justice James Omotoso still adjourn the case to October 10. If not injustice, or the man want to become another Justice Binta Nyako, a protracted, a trial for that matter since 2020. The man has been kept there, and up to this moment, you are about to give the final judgment, and adjourn it to October 10. Maybe this is why IPOB have declared that this will release Nnamdi Kanu now. What do you have to say about this?
Yes, Nnamdi Kanu should be released. That's the national anthem of all 85 million Nigerians, Biafrans all over the world. Nnamdi Kanu should be released, must be released. And you don't want to face the wrath of Nnamdi Kanu in the courtroom, like what he did to Binta Nyako, that made him to call Nnamdi Kanu a higher reality. A lot of people are still looking at and watching, how the presiding judge, James Omotoso, has concluded, to keep on playing to the gallery. And with the kind of statement coming from him, he looks as if he's 50% compromised. I can say that very clearly, because you can't be saying that this is not how you started, this is not what we are hearing about the case of Nnamdi Kanu. But let me tell you, James Omotoso very clearly, there's no court here presently in Nigeria that have the jurisdiction to try Nnamdi Kanu. And remember, the trial that is going on now is purely based on illegality. And we are saying that if a foreign nation like Kenya can come out and say Nnamdi Kanu was illegally, criminally renditioned back to Nigeria, and they are ready to pay, then how much more do you have the legal backing or support or to continue to play to the gallery of the Fulanese government in Nigeria, who are bent on destroying Nigeria and destroying Nnamdi Kanu? But to an extent, we are seeing very clearly that it is not going to hold at any point in time, as long as you do not toe the line of legality and reality. And what is reality? Nnamdi Kanu has never committed any offense, and if you do not have the jurisdiction to try Nnamdi Kanu, a case of no submission submitted by the fortified legal team of Nnamdi Kanu are still binding up to this moment. Then you said you want to have this long period of research to look at the no case submission before you're able to decide whatever it is at the end of the day. There's nothing you are going to decide, because what you are presiding on is already illegality. That's the fact. So we are hoping that Nnamdi Kanu will be granted ruling on the 10th of October and automatically be set free. There's no bargain whatsoever for bailing or presenting anybody to pay a certain amount of money to pay him. There's no reason for that. What we are saying at this point in time, that if the government under this administration is still insisting on the trial, then Nnamdi Kanu have gone through the process and there was nothing found to be against him. Everything has been fabricated, by the so-called Taylor Fulani witness, and we can see clearly that it holds no evidence against Nnamdi Kanu. And that is what we are saying, and that's what the IPOB members are talking about, that this has come to this point. We know who that are, but we don't know what the Eastern governors are doing because of Nnamdi Kanu popularity, and Nnamdi Kanu to a lot of millions of people around the world who are actually, Biafrans, IPOB members, have stated very clearly that Nnamdi Kanu still holds the mantra, the pace, as in his words become law and order. Even where he is now, his words has become still law and order. There's no two ways about it. We don't know whether there's any politician in that state that exists. All the politicians, I do not want to have reservation over Alex Oti because we have not seen much him making statement about Nnamdi Kanu, but they have been pointing a particular hand factor or individuals of political extraction from the eastern region, like the man from Enugu State, Peter Mba. We're talking about the one, who has come to apologize, and nobody's taking that apology for now. The Igbo nation has rejected that apology. Hope Uzodinma. We're talking about Wifru, all these guys who are playing to the gallery of Fulani conquest should be automatically pave the way for the reality on ground, for allow justice to prevail. If actually the judiciary is independent, then how independent is the judiciary? Then if the judiciary is actually independent, Nnamdi Kanu wouldn't have spent a day in that illegal DSS custody.
Of course, everybody has agreed. Almost everybody has agreed. Nigeria as a mistake country. I even listened to one elderly man. You listen to that man. He said Nigeria is a mistake country.
Yeah.
Honestly speaking, what Oyibo thought it would have been a convenience for them to maneuver us, to toil with our resources, managing south and northern protectorate easily, has become what we are celebrating, what we are worshipping. Which each one of us, we can go in our separate
I think
way,
the man that made that statement was a Yoruba man.
He was a Yoruba man. Yes.
There's not two ways about it.
Yes.
And these are people who understand the reality on ground. He made it very clearly, publicly, that Nigeria is a mistake. And what does he actually mean by that? Where the fundamentals of democracy is being, ridiculed and oppressed. Like the rule of law, the judiciary, the government system, the leadership structure is being used as a means of suppression and an agenda. It must be resisted. There's no how Nigeria can be won. There's no how Nigeria can continue in this mediocrity. There's no how Nigeria will continue in this unrealistic unity. There's no how. And they have tried to patch it, using crude oil to keep Nigeria one. Crude oil to keep Nigeria. I can tell you there are countries that don't have anything. They don't have crude oil, they don't have oil, they don't have natural resources, but they have been able, to thrive above nations of this world.
Sorry, in the book of this man that wrote Animal Farm, is it Owell, whatever? If you go and read it, Animal Farm, you will observe that it's actually describing Nigeria. All animals are equal, but some are equal than other. Where am I going? It's about Chief Sunday Igboho. He's also an agitator of a Yoruba nation, and he has once visited Nigeria. When his mother died, he visited in Nigeria, he buried his mother, he went, and he's still coming back. Recently, he visited Olugbon, where he's telling Olugbon that he requested for the chance to come and bury his mommy. Now, he requested for chance to visit New Alafin, and he's visiting Olugbon, and nobody is harassing him. The same crime committed by MNK is the one committed by Chief Sunday Igboho, and people are wondering what is happening. What do you have to say about that?
But I think the government is actually trying to rate the impact of this agitation coming from the Oduah nation and coming from the consistency of the Biafran agitators, and when they be able to rate it, they discovered that Nnamdi Kanu's case have more impact. Yes, it has more impact than what Igbo is trying to do. I remember, before that time, the Oduah nation and the Biafran nation has been working in synergy abroad. Yes, I can see them on several rallies, flying the Oduah flag and the Biafran flag, in conjunction, and demanding a peaceful disintegration of an entity that has refused to work. By all ramification and by all yardstick, Nigeria has automatically refused to work. And we know that why Nigeria has refused to work at this point in time, because the Aburi Accord failed. The Aburi Accord would have been the super glue that would have gum the unity together. But unfortunately, it was balkanized by both the Fulani, led by Gowon, and the British system government, who also Nigeria as an enterprise. Nigeria was not a nation. It was then, Nigeria PLC. It means it was an enterprising, profit-oriented, a company or firm that generate a lot of resources for the colonial entity as at that time. So that has been what they have maintained in disguise of government, that they are running government, in disguise of election, in disguise of whatever structure we are seeing, and today that has collapsed the entity in Nigeria. A lot of people that do not know that Nigeria has been, cracked, has received enough crack to the extent that we are waiting that one day, a monkey go market, go return. Just like what people are saying, that it is not when you cut a tree that you will begin to experience that the leaf will begin to dry. The root of Nigeria, as a nation, has already been, uprooted. And people are not seeing it from that angle. There's no how Nigeria will stand as a unit. It cannot be possible. Whether P2B they produce the president, whether Igbo produce the president or not. The only thing is that if Nigeria continue to play, cosmetic over the Aburi Accord, there's nothing anybody can do about it. It will come naturally. And this is not a time that a particular super nation is going to say, no, I hold the reservation. The people themselves are going to say at this point in time that enough is enough. This is 21st century, for goodness sake. What is it? Like people are asking that Nigeria can offer Biafrans or Oduah Republic that they can offer, that they cannot offer, themselves. Well, we can see the biasness of this government. We can see what happened to Buhari clearly. It became very clear, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is still there. And the boss said, the person that came to my house and shot me because I was exercising my fundamental human right is now dead. Talking about whether it's Jubril or whether it's Buhari, I don't want to know. What we're saying is that, on no account, that name shall be mentioned within the political space of this entity, unworkable entity called Nigeria. So to an extent, but the reservation people are having is this, why is it a sudden quench? Why is it a sudden disappearance of the agitation of the Oduah Republic? Do they actually mean to secede from Nigeria? Or why is it that immediately Bola Ahmed Tinubu came to power, we saw these guys disappeared? Then how come Bola Ahmed Tinubu left Igboho, left Sowore, and some other people, and see head on Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? But that's why a lot of analysts, global analysts around the world are saying that, if you put both of them on the scale, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu seems to have the more deep impact, his agitation has more deeper impact than any other one now, and that's why the government are taking it serious. Like what they said in the court, according to the federal government witness, they said it very clearly that the threat, whether by omission or commission, either joke or reality, that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu intention was to dismantle the structure of the British Empire here in this local geographical zone. So.
To buttress your point, at the palace of Olugbon, Chief Sunday Igboho is seeking for lift on, his bank account. His bank account has been frozen, and he asking for unfrozen it, and he wants his name to be deleted from wanted list, telling you that he still have some restriction. But listen to his word from at the palace of Olugbon. You will know that is a bit watered down the agitation for Yoruba nation.
That is unfortunate if that happens, and that is the level of inconsistency on their side. What are you talking about? You are talking about liberating the entire Oduah nation, the entire Yoruba nation, running up to 60 million in population, and you are talking about our bank account. That is a fraudulent, that is quite unfortunate thing to pursue at this point in time. What is it that we want to seek in your bank account that the big men in Yoruba who believe in the Yoruba nation, in the Oduah nation, that they cannot give you. That is why a lot of people are having reservation. Do you know what Nnamdi Kanu has gone through in terms of destruction and frozen of anything that has to do with him? But he stood firm, and today he has become one of the global, celebrated freedom fighter, and people are ranking him above Nelson Mandela. Yes, go and check what people from Pan-African Institute or an annex group of the United Nations saying it very clearly, saying it all over the world. That they are nothing. That they have not seen somebody like Nnamdi Kanu. His consistency, his resilient spirit, focus, on what he intends to achieve. And these are the only things that can attract world leaders, that can attract organizations, that can attract, people to start negotiating for the disintegration of Nigeria. Nigeria is not the only country that has been disintegrated. A lot of countries have balkanized and nothing happened, and they are living freely. Now we are under the subject of a conquest, of an agenda of a conquest that everybody must bow to a certain religion before you can be able to breathe in a nation where you are indigenous. That is absolutely unacceptable, and that is what Nnamdi Kanu stood for. Anybody that doesn't want to take the line should understand clearly that these are international and national backed law, that self-determination is not a crime, and the reasons for self-determination has been clearly stated, and Biafrans have fallen victim of that. As simple as that.